Hey everyone, how's it going? Thanks so much for tuning in. Today's video is part 2 of my engine run stand video. If you haven't seen part 1, it's pretty cool. Check it out, the link is down in the description below. Long story short, I've had a 396 cubic inch small block V8 from BluePrint engines sitting around the shop for quite a while now. Even though I don't have a vehicle for this motor, I wanted to do something fun with it. I've had this elaborate engine run stand from Easy Run Engine Test Stands on order. It finally came in, so I was like, let me do a video of putting the run stand together, getting this 396 all decked out, mount everything together, and actually start it up and hear what it sounds like, because I think it's going to be a pretty gnarly sounding setup. But anyway, in that part 1, I got everything prepared for wiring, basically. So we're going to kick things off by installing the Holley multi-port fuel injection system that I have for the motor, as well as, dive into a little bit more on the Terminator X Max PCM and wiring harness, and then of course we'll get it fired up and hear how she sounds. When I was planning out this project, I was wanting to do something different for this engine that would maintain an old school look but offer the benefits of a modern fuel injection system. For a lot of applications out there, a Holley Sniper EFI system is an excellent choice, as it's a direct replacement for a carburetor. It's pretty simple to wire up, and in most cases, it allows you to use the air cleaner you had on your carburetor to maintain the old school look. Depending on what your performance goals are, whether it be a stock engine or modified, it can also be a very cost-effective option for fuel injection, even with boosted engines. With an all-new next-generation Sniper EFI 2 system now available, it's easier than ever before to go fuel injection for improved reliability and drivability. That being said, I ended up going for a more elaborate multi-port fuel injection system on this motor, with an aluminum Holley EFI intake manifold, 8 individual 42 pound/hour injectors, a 1000 CFM billet throttle body, and a Terminator X Max powertrain control module. The intake manifold in particular is super cool, not just because of the fuel injector provisions, but it's an air gap style to help keep the intake air temperatures lower. It also incorporates multiple vacuum provisions, one of which I used to install a required air intake temperature sensor. Aside from the fuel rails being visible, this setup looks old school, which is exactly what I was hoping for. Of course, I went the extra mile to dress it up with polished aluminum valve covers and air cleaner, which complement the billet accessory drive nicely. The engine itself was originally dynoed by BluePrint engines before shipping, at which point it made 524 horsepower and 532 pound-feet of torque with using an 850 CFM double pumper carburetor. The Terminator X PCM, like the Holley Sniper system, offers self-learning fuel strategies, so there's no need for third-party tuning in most cases. The Terminator X Max system incorporates a transmission control module, so you can also use either a 4L60E or a 4L80E transmission, which can be adapted to use with this motor with relative ease. In addition to real-time fuel learn, Terminator X features high-impedance injector drivers, an integrated 1-bar map sensor, and 4 programmable inputs and outputs, the latter of which are ideal for controlling electric fans, boost control solenoids, progressive nitrous control, and much more. It also comes fully loaded with base maps for common V8 engine combinations, so you can wire things up and get going quickly. An included 3.5-inch touchscreen LCD handheld contains an easy-to-use calibration wizard, as well as tuning and gauge display functions. Also included is Holley's EFI software suite that allows full laptop access for advanced users. Along with engine-specific wiring harness packages, the Terminator X is also available as a universal setup, which is what I used for this engine. You can install the oxygen sensor by welding in a bung or by using a clamp-on O2 bung, which is really easy to install. Wiring and programming couldn't be simpler. Just follow the instructions, make the necessary connections, and you'll be running in no time. For ignition, I ended up using Holley's complete Hyperspark system, which includes a billet distributor, a CD ignition box, and an ignition coil. I had previously used the Hyperspark stuff on my S10 build a while back when it first had the small block 355, so I'm happy to be putting all this stuff back in action. After ordering a harness adapter, the distributor was plug and play with the EFI harness, so timing can be controlled electronically thanks to the distributor's built-in Hall effect crank trigger sensor. In the last video, I outlined my fuel system more in depth, which basically consists of a universal EFI setup from Earls, which includes the electric fuel pump, a Holley fuel pressure bypass regulator, pre- and post filters, and plenty of EFI rated fuel hose. If you'd like to see more of the process of getting this engine dressed up and putting the run stand together, mounting everything and all of that fun stuff, again, don't forget to check out that part 1 down in the description below. Before starting the engine for the first time, you must go through the initial setup wizard to input basic parameters of your engine, including fuel injection type, the type of Terminator X system you're using, number of cylinders of the engine, the firing order, engine displacement, target idle speed, basic camshaft specs, ignition type, fuel pressure, what injectors you're using, whether you're using a power adder or not, what type of map sensor you're using, whether or not the throttle body is drive-by-wire, type of idle air control valve, and whether or not you want the transmission controller to be active. Being that the engine is just mounted to the stand at the moment, I opted to turn it off for the moment. After that, the system's base map is configured. The screen will then prompt you to cycle the ignition to finish everything up. Upon turning the power back on, you should hear your fuel pump prime, and if needed, you can adjust your fuel pressure accordingly. After starting the engine, it'll be running on the base map until the coolant temperature reaches 160 degrees Fahrenheit, at which point the PCM will begin self-learning and tuning the engine accordingly. If the engine is already installed in a vehicle, you would simply take it for an easy drive and let the system more or less figure itself out. As the engine is run or the vehicle is driven, the ideal tune will be created. It'll also adjust automatically to your driving style. It's a fascinating thing to say the least. After running the motor for a little while, I thought it was a good idea to go ahead and do an oil and filter change. So I just got back from O'Reilly Auto Parts, got everything I needed, gonna knock this out of the way so we can fire it back up and play with it some more. Long story short, I've been using Valvoline VR1 for quite a while. It's my go-to motor oil for basically any older pushrod based motor, especially, vintage vehicles in general, especially if you have a flat tappet cam. This motor that I'm working with right now has a roller setup, so don't have to worry about that. But what's nice about VR1 is that it has a lot more zinc and phosphorus content than you would find in a typical modern day oil. And that's essential for proper lubrication of flat tappet cams and older pushrod based motors. So just something to be aware of if you're going to be working with this kind of stuff as well. So again, let's go ahead and fire it back up and check it out a little bit more in depth. Well everyone, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. I'll let you guys know if I end up finding a use for this motor in a future project, but more than likely I'll end up just selling it to somebody looking for a cool turnkey package for like an old school hot rod or something. But anyway, you never know. We'll see. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so because there's a whole lot more where that came from, and make sure you turn your notifications on so you don't miss out on the upcoming videos. Don't forget to leave a like down below as well because it really helps the videos a lot. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.